Sustainability is a core principle of Muski's vision, and the 10,000 house is designed to be as energy efficient as possible. The homes come equipped with advanced insulation, energy efficient windows, and a design that maximizes natural light, all of which help reduce energy consumption. Moreover, these houses are designed to be compatible with solar panels, allowing homeowners to generate their own electricity and potentially live off the grid. 4. Smart home integration. In line with Musk's focus on technology, the $10,000 house is designed to be a smart home. It can be equipped with the latest smart home technology, including Tesla's Powerwall for energy storage, smart thermostats, lighting systems, and security features. This integration not only enhances the living experience, but also helps homeowners monitor and manage their energy usage more effectively. 5. Durability and safety. Despite its compact size and affordable price, the $10,000 house doesn't compromise on quality or safety. The homes are built using durable materials that are designed to withstand extreme weather conditions, including heavy rain, snow, and even hurricanes. The modular structure is engineered to meet or exceed building codes in most areas, ensuring that homeowners can feel safe and secure. Chapter 3. The Journey to Market. Bringing the $10,000 house to market has been a journey filled with challenges, innovation, and determination. The concept of affordable modular housing isn't new, but what sets this project apart is the scale and ambition behind it. Boxable, the company behind the $10,000 house, was founded with the goal of mass-producing homes that are not only affordable, but also high quality and sustainable. Elon Musk's involvement in the project has brought significant attention and resources, accelerating the development and production of these homes. Musk himself has been living in a prototype of the $10,000 house, which he set up near SpaceX's facilities in Texas. This not only demonstrates his commitment to the project, but also serves as a powerful endorsement of the product's viability and appeal. The journey to market hasn't been without its hurdles, from securing funding and scaling production to navigating regulatory challenges. The path to bringing the $10,000 house to consumers has required innovative solutions at every turn. However, with Musk's backing and Boxable's relentless pursuit of efficiency, the dream of affordable, sustainable housing is closer than ever to becoming a reality. Chapter 4. Impact on the housing market. The arrival of the $10,000 house on the market could have profound implications for the housing industry. For decades, the high cost of home ownership has been a barrier for many, contributing to issues like homelessness, housing insecurity, and economic inequality. The introduction of a truly affordable, high-quality home has the potential to disrupt the traditional housing market in several key ways. 1. Making home ownership accessible. One of the most immediate impacts of the $10,000 house is the potential to make home ownership accessible to a much broader segment of the population. For many, the dream of owning a home has been out of reach due to high prices and the financial burden of a mortgage. The $10,000 house offers a viable alternative, providing a path to home ownership that is both affordable and sustainable. 2. Reducing housing inequality. The housing crisis has disproportionately affected low-income individuals and families, who often struggle to find safe, affordable housing. The 10,000 house could play a crucial role in addressing this issue by providing a cost-effective solution that can be deployed in urban and rural areas alike. By reducing the financial barriers to housing, the $10,000 house has the potential to reduce housing inequality and improve quality of life for millions. 3. Disrupting traditional real estate models. The $10,000 house challenges the traditional real estate model, which relies heavily on expensive, site-built homes. By offering a prefabricated, modular solution that can be assembled quickly and at a fraction of the cost, the $10,000 house could disrupt the conventional approach to home building. This could lead to increased competition, driving down prices, and encouraging innovation in the industry. 4. Environmental benefits. The environmental impact of traditional construction methods is significant, contributing to deforestation, energy consumption, and carbon emissions. The $10,000 house, with its focus on sustainability and energy efficiency, offers a greener alternative. By reducing the need for traditional building materials and minimizing waste, the $10,000 house could help reduce the environmental footprint of the housing industry. 5. Paving the way for future innovations. The $10,000 house is just the beginning. As the technology and production methods behind these homes continue to evolve, we can expect to see even more innovations in affordable, sustainable housing, whether it's through the development of larger modular homes, advancements in smart home technology, or new approaches to urban planning. The $10,000 house sets the stage for a future where high-quality housing is accessible to all. Chapter 5. Challenges and criticisms. While the $10,000 house is an exciting development with the potential to change the housing landscape, it's not without its challenges and criticisms. As with any disruptive innovation, there are hurdles to overcome and skeptics to win over. 1. Zoning and regulatory challenges. One of the biggest obstacles facing the $10,000 house is navigating the complex web of zoning laws and building codes that vary from one location to another. While the modular design of the house is meant to be adaptable, getting approval from local authorities can be a time-consuming and challenging process. Boxable and Musk will need to work closely with regulators to ensure that these homes can be legally deployed in a wide range of locations. 2. Public perception. Despite its many advantages, the $10,000 house faces the challenge of overcoming public perception. Some people may be skeptical of living in a modular home, associating it with temporary or low-quality housing. To succeed, Boxable and Musk will need to demonstrate that these homes offer the same level of comfort, durability, and desirability as traditional homes. 3. Scaling production. Meeting the expected demand for the $10,000 house will require significant scaling of production capabilities. While Boxable has plans to ramp up production, there are logistical challenges associated with manufacturing, transporting, and assembling thousands of units. Ensuring that production can keep pace with demand without compromising quality will be a key factor in the project's success. 4. Competition. As the $10,000 house gains traction, it's likely that other companies will enter the market with their own versions of affordable modular homes. While competition can drive innovation and reduce prices, it also means that Boxable and Musk will need to continually improve their product to stay ahead of the curve. Chapter 6. The Future of the $10,000 House. The $10,000 house is more than just a product. It's a symbol of what's possible when technology, innovation, and a bold vision come together. As the first units hit the market, the world will be watching to see how this ambitious project unfolds. Looking ahead, the potential applications of the $10,000 house are vast. In addition to providing affordable housing for individuals and families, these homes could be used in disaster relief efforts, temporary housing for refugees, or even as living quarters for astronauts on Mars. The modular, adaptable design makes it possible to reimagine how we think about housing and living spaces. Moreover, the $10,000 house could inspire a new wave of innovation in the housing industry. As other companies and entrepreneurs take note of the success of Boxable and Musk's project, we could see a proliferation of new ideas and technologies aimed at making housing more affordable, sustainable, and accessible. Chapter 7. How to get your own $10,000 house. If you're interested in owning one of these revolutionary homes, you're not alone. Demand for the $10,000 house is expected to be high, and Boxable has already received thousands of inquiries from potential buyers. Here's a step-by-step guide on how you can get your own $10,000 house. 1. Stay updated. Keep an eye on Boxable's official website and social media channels for updates on availability, pricing, and the ordering process. As the company ramps up production, they'll be releasing more information on how and when you can place an order. 2. Pre-order. Boxable may offer a pre-order system, allowing interested buyers to reserve their homes in advance. Be prepared to place a deposit or join a waiting list, as demand is expected to exceed initial supply. 3. Check local regulations. Before placing an order, make sure to check local zoning laws and building codes in your area. While the $10,000 house is designed to be adaptable, it's important to ensure that it complies with local regulations. 4. Prepare your site. Once you've secured your $10,000 house, you'll need to prepare your site for assembly. This may involve obtaining permits, laying a foundation, and ensuring that utilities like water, electricity, and sewage are in place. 5. Assembly and customization. After your house is delivered, it will be assembled on-site, usually within a matter of hours. Depending on your needs and preferences, you can customize your home with additional modules, solar panels, and other features. The introduction of the $10,000 house isn't just a groundbreaking development in the real estate sector. It has far-reaching implications for society at large. From addressing the global housing crisis to influencing urban planning and community development, this innovative home could spark significant changes in how we live and interact with our environments. Let's explore some of these broader societal impacts. 1. Addressing global housing shortages. Around the world, millions of people are living in inadequate housing conditions, or worse, lacking stable shelter altogether. The $10,000 house offers a potential solution to this crisis by providing a low-cost, high-quality alternative to traditional housing. By making homeownership accessible to a wider range of people, this new model could help alleviate some of the most pressing housing shortages. In developing countries, where affordable housing is often scarce, the $10,000 house could make a profound difference. Governments and nonprofits could use these homes to provide stable living conditions for low-income families, improve living standards in impoverished regions, and support disaster relief efforts. This could not only improve quality of life, but also contribute to economic development by creating jobs and boosting local economies. 2. Shaping the future of urban planning. As cities continue to grow and populations expand, urban planning becomes increasingly critical. The $10,000 house has the potential to influence urban planning strategies by offering a modular, scalable housing solution that can adapt to various needs and environments. Affordable housing in urban areas. In densely populated urban areas where space is limited and housing costs are high, the $10,000 house could provide a viable solution for affordable housing. Its compact design and quick assembly make it suitable for infill development, building new structures on vacant or underutilized land within existing urban areas. This could help address the shortage of affordable housing in cities and reduce the need for sprawling suburban developments. Rural and remote areas. For rural and remote areas where traditional construction methods may be impractical or prohibitively expensive, the $10,000 house offers an efficient alternative. Its ability to be transported and assembled quickly makes it ideal for locations with limited infrastructure. Additionally, its energy-efficient features and compatibility with renewable energy sources align well with the needs of remote communities that may not have access to reliable power grids. 3. Promoting sustainable living. Sustainability is at the core of the $10,000 house's design, and its impact extends beyond individual homeowners to influence broader environmental practices. By prioritizing energy efficiency, using durable and recyclable materials, and incorporating renewable energy options, the $10,000 house sets a new standard for eco-friendly construction. Reducing environmental footprint. Traditional construction methods often involve significant environmental impact, including resource extraction, waste production, and energy consumption. The modular design and prefabrication of the $10,000 house reduce these impacts by minimizing on-site construction activities and utilizing efficient manufacturing processes. The house's energy-efficient features, such as advanced insulation and solar panel compatibility, further reduce its environmental footprint. Inspiring sustainable innovation. The success of the $10,000 house could inspire other industries to adopt similar sustainable practices. From materials science to construction technology, The principles demonstrated by this project could drive innovation across various sectors, encouraging the development of more eco-friendly products and processes. 4. Enhancing community resilience. Community resilience, the ability to withstand and recover from disruptions, is crucial in today's rapidly changing world. The $10,000 house contributes to community resilience in several ways: disaster relief and recovery. In areas affected by natural disasters, the $10,000 house can provide a rapid, cost-effective solution for temporary or permanent housing. Its foldable and modular design allows for quick deployment, offering immediate shelter to those displaced by disasters. Additionally, its durability and energy efficiency make it a suitable option for rebuilding efforts, helping communities recover more quickly and sustainably. Affordable housing for at-risk populations. Communities facing economic challenges or housing instability can benefit from the $10,000 house's affordability and accessibility. By providing a stable, high-quality housing option for vulnerable populations, this innovation helps strengthen community resilience and supports social stability. 5. Influencing housing policy and regulation. The introduction of the $10,000 house could prompt changes in housing policy and regulation. As governments and policymakers recognize the benefits of affordable, modular housing, there may be a shift toward more supportive regulations and incentives for similar projects. Advocating for modular housing. The success of the $10,000 house could lead to increased acceptance of modular housing solutions within regulatory frameworks. Governments may introduce policies that facilitate the deployment of modular homes, streamline permitting processes, and offer incentives for sustainable construction practices. Revising building codes. As modular and prefabricated housing become more prevalent, building codes may need to be updated to accommodate new construction methods and materials. This could involve revising standards to ensure the safety and quality of modular homes while supporting innovation and cost efficiency. Chapter 9. Real-world applications and success stories. As the $10,000 house begins to make its way into the market, real-world applications and success stories will provide valuable insights into its impact and effectiveness. Let's explore some potential scenarios and examples where the $10,000 house could make a significant difference. 1. Affordable housing projects. In cities where housing affordability is a pressing issue, the $10,000 house could be used in large-scale affordable housing projects. For example, urban developers and housing authorities could partner with Boxable to create affordable housing complexes that address the needs of low-income families. These projects could include a mix of single-family units, multifamily buildings, and community spaces, all built using the $10,000 house model. Case study: a city's affordable housing initiative. In a hypothetical city with a severe housing crisis, local government officials partner with Boxable to implement an affordable housing initiative. By using $10,000 houses, the city is able to quickly deploy hundreds of homes in previously underserved areas, providing affordable housing for thousands of residents. The project not only addresses immediate housing needs, but also stimulates local economic development through job creation and increased investment in the community. 2. Disaster relief efforts. The $10,000 house's modular and durable design makes it an ideal solution for disaster relief efforts. In the aftermath of natural disasters such as hurricanes, earthquakes, or wildfires, these homes could be rapidly
There's a new loophole for U.S. traders still to get funded with prop firms. And our community is taking full advantage with hundreds of U.S. traders getting funded with prop firms. And they're getting funded $100,000 or more worth of trading capital. The demo on the next page is 100%. If you have a TikTok, you can put out 3 videos and the third video gets 2 million views and you just made $20,000 off your product launch. So if you can learn that content style, I don't know how you can fail. It's painfully simple. Everything comes full circle when you're who you're supposed to be. Like I focused on me. It's so cliche, but I didn't spend time, obsessing over girls or chasing these things. Like I was focused on my individual glow up, and it just showed how easy all of the other things tend to fall into place.
Let's say that I found the winning product. I've then developed like a unique product, which is 3%. Let's even say it's 5%, 7% better. What are the actual practical steps of me now promoting that product on TikTok?
I'll break down the step-by-step for building a multi-million-dollar company in this era.
Okay, so 6 months ago, I shared on this channel that I had this crazy goal of hitting 100,000 subscribers. Well, it's not as crazy as I thought. At the time when I said that, we had 3,000 subscribers, and we're so close right now to hitting 100,000. So please help us out with this goal, this crazy dream that I had. Hit that subscribe button. Here's where I wanted to start, because Rob Oliver, people might know you as Rob the Bank. And I wanted to read this tweet that you wrote. You said, in the last 10 years, I've nearly lost my business, sold it later for $30 million, dodged cancer, became a father of 2, found God during dark times. You then go on to say that these past 10 years have been a crazy ride, and it all started with my dad. And so that's where I wanted to begin, that last part. When you reflect on the story, and it's a crazy story, it could be a movie, right? Mm-hmm. Why do you say that it starts with your dad? Why is that the starting place?
Well, I think that was my inspiration. Like biologically, you're born from your father, but to see the platform that my dad kind of gave me, he was born in a tent in Tennessee, and first child of 5 kids. Mom was 14 when he had him, and that was kind of my baseline for seeing work ethic every single day. Like that was a guy that just blue collar, put in the time, 30, 40 years, as long as I saw him growing up, that was just self-made and self-built. And he's not like crazy, multi-millionaire or anything like that, but just to see someone take kind of this idea of like the American dream and make that shit happen while everyone around him is like addicted to meth and falling apart. And so that was always kind of my springboard and really my competition in life too, in a lot of ways, which sounds uncomfortable to say about your father, but it's like, if someone took it from 0 to 1, I need to take it from 1 to 2. And that's really where my story starts.
I'm curious. That is an interesting thing to say, right? Mm-hmm. That your dad is almost your competition. Mm-hmm. But I think there's something in that, in the father and son, and you want to take kind of the legacy that they've built and then take it forward. I'm curious where did that thought first start? Like, is there an experience? Is there a moment where you were like,
yes, it's become reality. I take pride in saying things that I think a lot of people maybe think, or it's like deep down in there, but it's so uncomfortable to say. You'd never actually say it. And then one of those examples is when I sold my business, the Genius brand, multiple 8-figure thing. He had a distribution company, which was like totally different, that he had built over 30 years and was much smaller than Genius. And we sold our businesses right around the same time. I sold mine first for more money. And like, believe it or not, he's proud of me, but there was also a level of like, whoa, what the fuck? And so I've been through a lot of different father moments, if you will, that
there's like this duality in it that anyone out there that has a relationship like with their dad, it can be confrontational. It can be like he's been my worst enemy and my best friend and my biggest supporter and like the person I've hated the most. I don't think enough people talk about that, but I think it's one of the defining things in so many of our lives. Like if you look back, I share a lot of those traits that he has that I probably can't stand. And the fact I have those traits is also probably why he butts heads with me, right? And so we just have these different world views that have shaped with like a fundamental underlying personality. And it's made me.
Mm. I'm curious. I'm curious to get into kind of the early years. And it's interesting, right? Like when we think about school or we think about high school, you almost have like these different archetypes of what the kids are like, right? You have like the jock, like the cool kids. You have the nerd, the loser, the loner, the ones that like struggle getting girls. I'm curious for you, what kind of kid were you? Like if I'd gone back to your school and observed, like what would I have seen?
I mean, I was a misfit in every way. I didn't fit in. Right? So picture sophomore year. I'm 5, and now I'm 6'4", like good athlete, like do all these things. But sophomore year, I'm 5'3". I grew up, basketball was my life, so I'm naturally in just kind of that culture. And so I'm this 5'3" kid who doesn't necessarily get in with like any of the white kids, but then on the like on the black side, like I'm not like, super accepted there. And so I was just this little misfit. I mean, 5'3", and then junior year I'm still like 5'7". And I mean, girls was like the biggest struggle of my life. That's the age you start crushing on everyone, and I used to have this confidence about me. I still do. I've tried to brainwash myself in a way that like I think it's important. We can talk about that later. But even back then, like I didn't mind shooting a shot. Basketball court, I'd shoot the shot. Girl I like, I'd shoot the shot. I've told this story a couple times, but like one of the hardest moments for me my sophomore year, I just moved to the new public school in my area, and there was the one girl I really liked, and I had math class with her, and we kind of built like a little relationship. In her eyes, in hindsight, it's obviously just like this is my little cute dorky friend. In my mind, I'm like, yeah, I can like pull this, right? And there was a song I like. I love music, and the lyrics like really resonate with me for her, and I'm like, oh, this is perfect. Now I remember writing it on a little love note and going and handing it to her, and like but kind of running off. Like I didn't stand there and wait, but I still had visibility of her, and she was with her friends. And I remember she looked and like read it to the group, and they all laughed. And she kind of like crinkled it, like didn't fully tear it, but just kind of crinkled it, and it was like, oh. And that shit made my heart like sink. Like I felt this sick, disgusting, whatever feeling. And pretty much from there until later senior year, I had very little success with women.
Mm. You know what's interesting actually? You mentioned that you were a misfit. And I think when you were younger, it's difficult to be a misfit because you want to be you kind of you're feeding into all of these things. Like you want to be liked, you want to be popular, you want other kids to like you, you want the girls to like you. And so when an experience like that happens, what is the effect of Rob Oliver in sophomore year? Like what does that do to your confidence?
Here's the truth. I think we're all inherently individuals and misfits in some capacity. Society is engineered in a young way because you said in high school, right, that you just desire to fit in. Bro, that shit's more relevant as you get out of high school. You're trying to find your entrepreneur group or you're trying to find your coworkers. Like we seek to be a part of a group, and so we often compromise our personality and who we are, and more importantly, what we have to bring to the world. The more we fall into that, and there's reasons for it. There's social expectations. Like if you walk around like a goth with like heavy clothes, what's the chance you're gonna get a tech job? Like zero, right? So we're forced to conform to this new world that isn't necessarily us, and in the process we lose ourselves, and we're not living for who we want to be, and we lose that independence. And so that's kind of my personal brand nowadays. The whole rob the bank thing, it's been like I have this luxury of having made enough money in my mid 20s where I can kind of stand up and be who I want to be, but most importantly, hopefully be a symbol for anyone else out there who wants to be them. Because I mean, hate is abundant. It comes nonstop. But the more in tune you are with who you're supposed to be, the better off your life tends to get. Like, and that's me saying that firsthand. And so I guess that's kind of that was a long answer there, but that's my general message to people is like embrace that natural misfit tendency. Don't fall into the crowd no matter what. And it's really hard in high school. Like that's where the pain is. But if you felt that pain, just know that's going to be a blessing later on. Because if I didn't go through all those experiences and get ostracized or outcast, like I wouldn't have had the awareness or vision to create my own company. Because it happened again when I'm start building my business. You know, this is the cliche entrepreneur story, but the second you go all in on something with passion, you lose people, you lose friends, and they talk shit at first. Like all those little gimmicky entrepreneurial quotes about like first they laugh, then they ask you how you did it. Like that's all for real. I'm sure you're running this up. I'm sure you got friends back home. Like good luck with the little podcast or whatever, right? Like it's so cute. And now you're gonna break 100,000 subs, and they're kind of like, oh, he's for real. But that's kind of my message. I hope just to embrace that misfit nature.
Yeah. No, I love that. That is so true. I want to get into the roll the bank stuff and the entrepreneurial rise. Before we do though, I'm curious, like, so you go through this experience, it's soul crushing, right? And you talk about the fact that you're a misfit. You grew up a misfit, and the point that you are now, I can tell even in the way you dress, the way you present yourself, your brand, you fully leaned into it, like you've embraced it. But it doesn't always start like that, and I felt that firsthand, right? Like there's certain moments where you almost kind of lean into trying to be like everyone else, trying to please the crowd. And so I'm curious, when you reflect on your early story, is there a moment where in your mind it's kind of the time where it's almost like you lost yourself a bit, like you started trying to play into the crowds or like trying to lean into being like everyone else? Like what comes to mind?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say throughout life, yeah, I mean, for sure. Me think back, like even early college, I'm looking back at how I dressed, or even those years. I mean, I think that's where I got criticized half the time. Like basketball is my life, bro. Like I'm trying to make that varsity team. I played on good AAU teams growing up, and so I'm dressing like basketball players, like for lack of a better, like it's more street, and like that was where I was leaned into, and then any of my white friends, I was like kind of friends with those groups. They're not treating me the same, and so I remember one day I went to like fucking Abercrombie, and I'm like, maybe this is how I need to be dressing, And I'm like, God, why does this store smell so bad? What's going wrong? What's wrong in here? But it's been a constant accumulation of events where I'd say I haven't stuck to me until like when I was building that first company, I let go of all that stuff. And that was one of my first times where I got tunnel vision, and it wasn't like on style or anything like that. I looked like a dork, but I was living for me. I knew I was living for me. I knew I was living for what I need to do. And kind of as I've rounded into this phase of my career, like I'm doing the same, but it's a little more. It's in a different way. It's public. Like I buy the things I like. I'm interested in fashion. I'm interested in design, and I have no problem standing behind those things because they're me. And I think the more you kind of iterate down to that, we're all one of one. At the end of the day, we really are one of one. And the more you iterate to find that individualism, the more fulfilled you're going to be.
No, I love that, and it's so true. You know what? I think it's interesting. Even when I look back at my own life, there's certain moments I almost call them like trigger moments, where it was just a sign to me of like you have to bet on yourself, like you have to go all in on you. And so I'm curious, when you think back to that and you talk about even the experience of being in the Abercrombie store trying to dress like these other kids, what was kind of that first moment where you were like, fuck that. I'm just going all in on me. Like what was the trigger point?
So I've got a couple. Let me say a couple good ones. I have one story that I saved for this because I've told the story about the girl breaking my heart when I was 14 or 15 or whatever. What I don't tell is what happened when I was like 23. I've been with my wife for a long time, and there was a breakup where we were not together for 6 months. And so this girl from my high school in college, one of the first times I went all in was when I decided that I wanted to play basketball again. So I walked onto that team, and it became my life. And I transformed physically. Like I got jacked. I was a practice player, but like my whole life changed. That was like my first glow up, right? And I get back after college that last year, and I'm working out in my local gym, and that girl's there, and we had like a decent relationship. And I remember she comes up to me and my friend, she like puts her hand on my shoulder, and she says, "Oh my God, Rob, you've gained like 50 pounds of muscle," like something like that. And long story short, I slayed that demon, for lack of a better term, while I was on a break with my wife. And it just kind of, that was one of the moments though where I realized everything comes full circle when you're who you're supposed to be. Like I focused on me. I didn't, it's so cliche, but I didn't spend time, obsessing over girls or chasing these things. Like I was focused on my individual glow up, and it just showed how easy all of the other things tend to fall into place. And so that was one of the moments. And then I'd say more recently too, there hasn't been like an aha, but it's been the more that I double down on who I'm supposed to be, the better life keeps getting. And that's operating from a place of like very natural abundance. That's investing in others around me. That's giving back. That's not being afraid to buy the pants I want or whatever. And things just keep getting better. Like in general, business keeps going better. Like I've made more money, at least on paper, with some of the brand growth and stuff in the last 2 years than I did my entire career prior. And it's not like I wasn't successful before that, but that was me going in on me, on like, truly. And the results speak for the results speak for themselves.
I think it's actually the self-improvement is like an addictive angle because you start doing it and you start seeing the results and what happens, and it just each win spurs you on to the next win. And you know what? I wanted to share a quote that you put on your Twitter. You said Nietzsche was right on the money when he said that the modern man has to literally relearn how to believe in himself. You need to teach yourself to be confident. You do this by taking bets and surpassing your own expectations. Eventually, you build a big enough portfolio of wins to rest your laurels on. Start stacking confidence points now.
Yeah. I think modern society in general, again, it forces conformity. That's why there's like this obsessive idea of like the Matrix or whatever, which I totally reject because I never think it's never been easier to create your own life and design your own life and make money however you want and all that stuff. We can talk about that more later. But in today's world, they don't like accept someone who stands up and wants to claim W's. That's pushed away. And again, there's so many reasons like societally why you shouldn't shoot the shot, why you shouldn't start the business, right? But in reality, this is the greatest place in the world, greatest time in history to be building anything. And it's like, what's the worst case if you fail? Like, I mean, even we have bankruptcy law. Like, there's literally no downside to starting to stack wins, and we've gotten so far out of that game. It's not even funny. And so, again, I hope to lean into messages like that because I'm only one person. But if some of these messages become more mainstream, have you heard the idea of life maxing, which I've been pushing? I mean, life maxing is just this idea that you need to take your scorecard and you have your different main traits, and then you max all of those out. So it can be business. There's often something physical, like for me, it's martial arts. I love to box. Like I do that several times a week. Experiences, and basically you reject this idea of balance in exchange for an obsessive foot on the gas everything in life. Like even when you're finding peace, it's in like recovery through a trip or whatever, but you're constantly investing in all the components of life that are going to max out your life, and that inherently fuels each thing. Like every new time I go to an experience like this, flying to New York to do this podcast, I told you, like I wanted to come to New York. I wanted to spend some time here. That was an investment in an experience. It was an investment in a relationship, but that's going to come back. And I'm not worried about work-life balance or anything. I'm trying to set up a life where I'm constantly working. And the more that people can align that way in a young age, the better off they're going to do. The TikTok Shop Kids are a phenomenal example of this. We can talk about that later.
You know what I realized? The default kind of mood or mindset, I feel like, when I observe a lot of people, and we all fall into this in different stages of our life, it's kind of indifference.
Yeah.
It's like almost like apathy. It's like just...
but in the wrong way. We numb ourselves to the fact we're dying. Like you go walk the streets of Wall Street right now, and even the intern doing the private banking thing, like he is so focused on that day and getting back to working his 14-hour day and getting on the couch and just working to be 30 to get that promotion, to be the billionaire, to be the it's soul numbing versus crafting out a life where you're indifferent to people's opinion of you, right? We're indifferent to the reality that we're going to die, and you need to be indifferent to the reality that other people's opinions don't matter.
And I feel like the reason I even mention that is that the energy that you bring, it's like you're going after it. And I can tell even the way that you speak, there's like, it's personal for you. And I find that interesting. Whenever someone sits in that chair and they're speaking about something, and I can tell it's personal, to me what that signals is that there's some sort of experience. There's something that's happened in their life that they're like, I'm not doing this at 50%. I'm going to do this like my life depends on it, because it does. It's personal. And so I'm kind of curious for that. Like, why is why is it so personal for you, this kind of relentless drive to self improve, to get better? Why is that such a strong thing?
I think the biggest question is, what do you want in life? And then when you realize that anything in life requires a certain level of effort and focus, if you want it in a meaningful amount of time, then there's truly no other way to behave. I mean, if you want to build a business, like, go through Silicon Valley and you're not going to see any guys that half-assed it, that did it part-time. If you want to build a monster podcast, you fucking, I know you live and breathe this thing. I know I've seen the growth in a short amount of time. You're a perfect example, but that's just what it takes. And it's not meant to be like the dry Hormozy, like you just need to work a million hours. It's like, no, you need to find your passion and your flow. And in that, it doesn't even feel like you're working. But if you're not taking that approach, then I don't think there's any point in doing it. Like, I think people spin their wheels. I know people spin their wheels and waste their time quarter-assing something when in when they're 80 years old, that will have mattered zero. Whereas building a huge show or building a brand that's going to live beyond me, those are impactful things, and I would rather put all my time and effort into those. So I guess I do talk about them very obsessively, but it starts to become second nature when it becomes your life.
Mm. You know what? You mentioned the point about quarter assing, like just not putting your all into it. And I wanted to read this, because you had a moment of that, and you said life was great during college, but then I graduated and I had no idea what to do next. I always knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but at that time I was lost.
Mm-hmm.
I went through a dark period of my life. I was smoking weed daily, constantly having depressive thoughts. There was no clear path for me to make it. Can you just talk about that period?
Yeah, for sure. So I graduated a little bit early. I had like running start credits, and I finished college. And I was like, I'm gonna take this time off. And that was one of the first times I just end up on the couch every day playing Call of Duty, smoking. It's like the best thing in the world for a week, and then 2 weeks you're like, what am I doing with my life? And by the end of a month, you're like, what's the point of this existence? Like, period. I just spent this time in college. My basketball years are done. What am I going to do next? And I think this is a point where maybe a lot of people tune it out and just like start to numb themselves, start to become indifferent. They train themselves. I think a lot of people have like a mild depression, and rather than address it and be in tune with it and ask themselves why, it becomes part of their life. It becomes their normal. And so that's what eventually prompted me to just like, hey, I have to figure this out. That's when I went and shadowed my uncle. Like, I spent some more time with my dad, and I was like, I just have to find out how to make it in some capacity. This is before early social media too, so I don't have like Ty Lopez telling me I need to make money online, or Tim Ferriss 4 Hour Work Week or anything. This is just a kid becoming in tune with his emotions and becoming in tune with the reality that this isn't a forever thing. This life isn't a forever thing, and you have to start figuring it out, and you have to carve something out.
Mm.
So
I remember Chris Williamson says this thing. He says, most people live lives of quiet desperation.
yeah, it's exactly that, right? That depression kind of starts, and few people are brave enough to address it. They say, you know what, if I get that corporate job, then I'm doing what I'm supposed to. And then they start that corporate job, and then it's like it becomes worse. But it's like, if I get that promotion or get a vacation to kind of break you out of it briefly, but you zoom out 30, 40 years, and I think millennials as a whole like have really, really fucked up. Like, the dream of the millennials has been a little social media and a tech job and a Starbucks to go, and the end result is like less kids, less fulfillment, all of this stuff. But I think we're seeing it right size with the younger generation that's becoming more self-aware, if you will. But yeah, Chris hit that one on the head.
Mm. No, 100%, 100%. Do you remember the day it kind of changed? Like, if the default is that most people live lives of quiet desperation, and you're going through these days where day after day it's like smoking weed, playing video games.
Yeah.
You remember the day where you're like, nah, this is different.
So that moment was another gradual shift, and eventually I fell on Amazon. And when I found Amazon, I started to make some money, and that was like a bit of a cure, right? Like, life started to feel a little bit better. I'd still live my normal life. Like, I'd go to the gym, I'd eat Chipotle, but I was still kind of on autopilot. Everything really changed when I got a phone call from my mom. I was sitting in my little desk, like, just starting my day, and she's like, "Hey, I need you to know that your dad took your grandma in for an operation this morning, and she didn't wake up." And I'm like, well, what do you mean she didn't wake up? Like, my Nana is what we call her. She was the center of our family, 70, super young, had lived a crazy life. I told you she had my dad when she was 14. And all of a sudden, she's not waking up. And I'm like, what does that mean? And basically, she went in. She had an operation on her leg, freak deal, and her heart stopped. And they did revive her. And so this, I think, is what made it worse and more surreal. They revived her, but she was totally brain dead. And so, immediately we go to the emergency room. My whole family spent the entire week there, and she's a vegetable. And we're just praying for that 0.01% miracle all week. And I see my dad cry for the first time in his life. I see, my grandpa beg her to wake up, and it never happened. And on Easter of all days, I'll never, this was like the moment. On Easter, after she'd been out for a week, we all go in that room and there's a decision made to pull the plug, and everyone circles around her and we hold hands. My dad couldn't be in there. My grandpa couldn't be in there. It was like me, my mom, and mostly women, and play this song she loved, Rocket Man by Elton John. And they pulled the plug, and, she takes a gasp and you just see the flatline. And that was after like a week of hell. And I remember going to the window and kind of looking out. It's in Seattle, and feeling like almost spirits. It was like this surreal like energy where I don't know if it's her leaving the room or what, but you're like, what the fuck? And pretty much like the day after that, we're all sitting at dinner, and it's like life goes on, and you have to find this kind of new normal. But most importantly, you remember that, like, yo, that's going to happen to my dad. That's going to happen to me. And that kickstarted this fever. Like, that was when I, like, hold on, I have this Amazon thing. I'm making 20 grand a month. I'm seeing, guys build these bigger brands. Why not me? Why not do something she'd be proud of? Why not do something I'd be proud of? And that was pretty much the moment where I abandoned my old life, like, dramatically. Like, I stopped going to the gym. I realized this internet thing was here. I can create something that changes my life, at least changing my life forever. And I poured in that shit like fucking crazy. But it was that prompt with death, or experience with death, that tends to kind of be a recurring theme in my life, that it focuses you. You get one shot and you're only gonna live for you. And so that was that was the first moment where like a light bulb really came on.
Yeah. Damn, that is something. And you know what? You know where my mind goes is I think like with our parents and grandparents, we kind of look at them as like superheroes. You don't even look at them as like real humans.
Mm-hmm.
Like if they get sick, like when my mom gets sick, it's like, wait, she's like ill.
What are
She
you
has a
doing?
cold.
That's not supposed to happen.
Yeah, like, that never happens. Because we always look at them as like they have the answers.
Mm-hmm.
They know what's going to happen. They know, they can almost predict the future.
That's what I meant. But my dad has been like the strongest person I've known my entire life. Like he raised that family, and I still remember, one of his friends came up to the emergency room, and it'd been like a day or two, and I didn't see him cry. I knew he'd been crying previously, but the friend came, and he just exploded into tears and hugged the guy, and I was like, that was one of the like sickest feelings of my life. Like it made me cry, and I'm just like, what the fuck? It's like these surreal but real. I mean, that's like, this is real life. Like this is gonna happen. This will happen. You don't know what day the Reaper is gonna call. All of our lives are stories written by authors that we can't even see it. We can get in tune with it and influence it, but we need to appreciate all of it and actually do stuff that matters.
Mm. It sounds like that moment kind of lit a fire. Like you already had success. Like things were already going
success,
well to a certain degree.
Yeah.
But then it seems like from that moment you just took it to another level. And I think so much when we hear stories, we kind of, people talk about that in like the abstract of like, oh, I just doubled down, I started doing something. I want to get specific, and what I mean by that is if someone had like observed your life, what you were doing on a day-to-day basis, maybe a month before that event happened, and then they'd seen the way that you were working, I don't know, maybe 3 months afterwards.
Yeah.
Like, what was the shift? Like, on the day-to-day, like, what
Like,
was
you
the
wouldn't
shift?
recognize the person. My life prior to that was like gym bro split. Like, I was happy enough to be able to work 5-6 hours, less than most people, get to LA Fitness by 3 o'clock and lift for 2.5 hours, and then go to Chipotle and shoot the shit with the buddy I always lifted with. And I was just always super proud of my lifts, my useless fucking lifts. Like everyone should lift to a certain point, and then like all right, bro, you're 230 pounds. No one cares if you can bench 315. And then when that happened, you fast forward 3 months later, and I didn't leave a cage. Like, I locked myself in my home office, and like, I mean, straight, like, it's kind of embarrassing. Like, I didn't really shower that much. Like I was like, there's old pictures of me for real, where you're like, who is this guy? But I just saw this Amazon thing growing, and I saw this actual opportunity in front of me, and I was like, if I don't master this trait, then I will have left generational opportunity on the table for whatever I want to pass down in this world. And so that was the shift. And if you looked at me then, and maybe 6 months after, right? But like, I literally had this thought in my head. Maybe it's crazy, maybe it's not. But a haircut is a waste of time, not money. It was just a waste of time. Like, me going in and getting my haircut is an hour that I could be putting towards this thing. And that's how I thought in terms of everything I did. I was wildly inefficient business wise. Like, I'm this kid figuring it out. I wasted all this time trying to figure out different components of the business. But my fundamental thought process was anything not going to this is a waste of potential millions down the road. And